Welcome to another episode of Listen, Learn, and Love, hosted by Richard Osler. We have three guests on our podcast. They are all graduates of Viewmont High School, the class of 2012. We have Travis Tyner. Am I saying your last name right, Travis?
Yep.
And MacKenzie Tyner, or Kinsey Tyner, and they are married. They were married about 3 years ago, and they are doing good things in their life. And also here is another member of the class of 2012 from Viewmont, Colin Hanson. Welcome, Colin.
Thank you for having me.
Colin is gay. Colin is a BYU student. He's a psychology major. He graduates in December. And these are really three close friends that will share the story of Colin coming out as gay to two trusted friends that he's known since the 7th grade. And Travis and Kinsey's road to support Colin and understand Colin and listen to Colin and the healing that's been present in this relationship. So I think this is particularly helpful for anyone wanting to know how to best support someone that comes out to them, especially someone that they've known for a long time and walk this road. So that's the focus of this podcast. But let's first talk with Colin. Welcome, Colin.
Well, thank you.
Tell us a little bit about yourself. Tell us where you grew up and where you served your mission and what you're doing now at BYU.
Okay. Well, I was born in Bountiful, Utah, and grew up there. I lived there till I was about 12, and then my family moved to Farmington, so not too far away, and they still live there, that same house and everything. Graduated from Viewmont.
What were you into at Viewmont? Sports?
Academics? I played football in high school. Up until my junior year, and then I tore my ACL, which was unfortunate, but it happened.
That's awful.
Yeah, so that happened, and then didn't do much in high school after that.
Is your ACL better?
It's better, yeah. I still have issues with it every once in a while, but it's not like a huge thing. I'm able to do anything pretty much. So anyway, I graduated from Viewmont, then went to BYU first semester right out of high school, and then served my mission in Brazil.
Which mission in Brazil?
Goiânia, which is in the middle of the country, and no one's ever heard of it. So
I hope there's a listener out there that knows this mission. If you do, message Colin.
So yeah, served the whole time and came home, and I'm at BYU still. I graduate in December in psychology, like was mentioned. Yeah, that's what I'm up to right now.
And tell us what your hopes are for post BYU as far as your education. Are you getting more education, a master's? Are you going to go into work, or both, considering both of those right now?
So, you can't do much with a bachelor's in psychology.
Is that right?
So I definitely plan on going into some type of graduate program, most likely clinical psychology, and I'm not sure exactly where either. But I'll take the year off after I graduate in December and see where exactly where I want to go and what I want to pursue and stuff. So we'll see.
And tell us, coming to terms with your sexual orientation. Whenever I have an LGBTQ person on the podcast, I sort of have them walk through that, when they knew of their orientation and when they started to tell people. So share our listeners a little bit about that. Thanks, Colin, for just being on the podcast and being so vulnerable and open to share really tender things about your life with our listeners.
Oh, yeah, no problem. So I think this part of it is super interesting. Because I think it's different for every gay person, in the church and outside of the church. I've talked to gay people who felt like they didn't know about these feelings until after they served a mission, or they were in high school and they figured out that they were attracted to guys as well as girls or stuff like that. But for me, it's always been there. As long as I can remember, I've been attracted to guys, or I was gay, whatever you want to call it. And so for me, I was in denial my whole life. And I'd find myself attracted to a guy and I'd be like, oh, I shouldn't feel that way. I'd feel guilty about it. Or I would just be like, oh, that doesn't mean I'm gay. It just means I'm seeing that a guy is good looking or whatever. And I was just recognizing that. But then like in high school, those feelings like started getting stronger, and like I still was in denial. It was always in the back of my mind. Still going on dates with girls, like trying to make that work. But anyway, so that happened, and then went on a mission. Still in denial, still deep in the closet.
Mm-hmm.
And so served a mission, and it was always in the back of my mind, but I was so focused on like being a missionary, focused on the work, that it never was an issue on my mission. And I've talked to other people that are gay that served missions, and like they said it was a huge issue on their mission, which I find very interesting. And I don't know. For me, it wasn't an issue.
Yeah, most that I've talked to, it's not. They're kind of worried that they're going to fall in love with a companion, or
Yeah.
but most seem to be okay, and they just are part of a bigger goal and a bigger cause, and
Right.
there's a brotherhood of working together, and so I've heard many stories of gay men and women serving missions and being just fine,
Right.
which it sounds like was your journey.
Yeah, I didn't have an issue at all on my mission. I felt like everything was good as long as I was focusing on the work.
Mm-hmm.
And that was another thing, like, and this is like the classic, like, gay Mormon that served a mission. How they kind of feel is that they felt like if they served faithfully their whole mission, that eventually, like, those gay feelings would go away, or those attractions would go away. And obviously, like, they never do. And for me, that was the case too. Like, it just didn't go away. As hard as I prayed that it would, just never did. And I came home, and I was determined actually to kind of just make it work with girls. And so I went on dates quite a bit when I got home initially, and tried to like make things work with different girls that I was going out with, and it never did work out. There was always just something missing, and like if something fizzled out with a girl, like it just didn't work out, it didn't matter to me. Like I was like, okay, well, like whatever. It just wasn't meant to be. I don't know. And that might have something to do with like my attractions. Like I just wasn't attracted to them. But anyway, so I stopped going on dates after a little bit. Like for a long time, I was not going out at all. And I started getting into this very dark place, and I was depressed, definitely. And I tried to blame it on other things. Like at the time I was like severely overweight.
Wow.
And so I tried blaming it on that. Like I told my parents I was depressed, and because I had met with a psychologist, and they had said that I was going through a depressive episode. And so I blamed it on my weight and stuff, and like hoping like, and then I tried to focus on myself, and I lost a lot of weight, and I was still sad. Like I guess I just wasn't like who I am, I guess. And so I finally just came to a point where I was like, okay, I need to like focus on this and not deny the fact that I'm gay, and just come out. I came out to myself, and that probably happened last October. So October of 2017. And I prayed and prayed about it, and finally I got an answer that I should start coming out to people. And that answer really surprised me.
How do you come out to yourself? Just for our listeners.
How do I come out to myself? That is a good question. I think for me, at least, I was just so ashamed of it. Ashamed that I was attracted to guys. Ashamed that I would see a guy and see that they were good looking and be like, oh, like I'm attracted to them. I think they're super cute or whatever. Like that was like a bad thought for me to have, at least in my mind. And so when I just finally was like, I shouldn't be ashamed of this. Like this isn't not something that I should deny any longer. It's only making me sad, and it's only making me feel like I'm a bad person. And so I think that's like how I came out to myself. I was just like, okay, I'm gay. I just need to accept that. But at the same time, I didn't want to come out to people as gay. I didn't want people to be like, oh, like, I don't know. I didn't know what I thought people would think. Like that they would think less of me or whatever. And so I had a good feeling that my roommate would be okay with it. But not the fact that I was gay. So I came out to him originally as bi.
And you said you prayed about it. I interrupted you a
Mhm.
little bit. You were going to talk about praying about this.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, so I prayed about it a lot actually, and I wasn't getting any answers. And finally there was just one night where I was just like kind of distraught about it and I didn't know what to do or where to go. Like um I never like got to a point where I was feeling like I wanted to like end my life or whatever. I mean, obviously like I had suicidal thoughts, but it was never like I was going to plan it out or whatever. I never got to that point. It just kind of was like, it would be easier if like my life just ended.
Mm-hmm.
That was like the extent to my thoughts. And so and then that night like I finally prayed about it like more than I ever had before, and I got that answer that I should just come out to people. And I never in my life wanted to come out to anybody. I was going to just try and hide it. And that was not good for me at all. And I finally realized that night. And so I think it was like maybe a few days later that I finally came out to my roommate. But I said that I was bi, like I said. And
Tell us about how that went with your roommate.
so I was very nervous, obviously.
I'll bet.
um, but he was really good about it. And like to this day, he is so good about it. And so I'm really grateful for how he reacted to it. I feel like that was very like pivotal in me coming out to more people. Like I can thank him for that. I don't know if I can like call him out. His name's Taylor Ave.
That's great. Give Taylor a shout out.
Yeah. But he's awesome and he's been so good about it and has helped me like when I've had issues with it and just how I've been feeling about it. And so he's been great. Um, but anyway, so he was the first person I came out to, and it kind of just stayed that way for a while because he was like easy to talk to about it. He didn't care if I wanted to like bring it up at all. And but yeah, so I came out as bi to him. And that's how it was with pretty much everybody that I came out to after that. I had another friend I came out to I think it was like maybe 1 or 2 months later, came out to him as bi. And then there was a period of time where I didn't tell anybody. I felt like I was content with just those two knowing.
Good.
And then came out to another girl down in Provo because I felt like she would be okay with it. Came out to her as bi as well. And then I just felt so weird that no one in my family knew. And so in July, I finally came out to my parents as bi.
Mm-hmm.
And they initially were like, okay, that's like totally fine. Like you're attracted to girls. Like let's just focus on that. Don't focus on you being attracted to guys at all. And I was like, okay, like whatever, I'll do that.
Mm-hmm.
And anyway, so like for the first couple weeks, it was okay. Nothing like that drastic. And I was like, okay, at least they know now. But then they started bringing it up to me and they were like, you can never tell anybody. Like you can't tell any of your friends. You can't tell your brothers. I have 2 brothers. And I was like, why? Like, why is it such a big deal? And they were like, well, it will just ruin your chances with dating girls. And that's when I realized I was like, okay, I should not have come out as bi to these people, like my parents or my friends at all. Like I should have just straight up said that I was gay. That way, like they wouldn't focus so much on that, I guess. And so actually, let's go back a little bit because before that happened, I actually came out to Travis and Kinsey, and I came out to them as bi again.
Why
And
did you come out? This is a couple you've known for
yeah.
10 years.
Mm-hmm.
Why did you feel impressed to come out with Travis and Kinsey?
Well, so like these two I've been so close to them for so long. And I have another friend up in Farmington, him and his wife I'm super close to as well. And it was just weird to me that none of them knew at all. And so I was like, I need to come out to one of them at least. And so I was super nervous. I was probably more nervous to tell them than I was to tell my parents. Because I just, like my parents, I knew it would be hard with them. But I just needed like my best friends to react well to it. I don't know why, but I just needed them to. And like obviously like they reacted so well to it. And
So tell us how you came out to them. Were you together? Was it a text message?
yeah, we were actually all hanging out as a group of friends.
Was it very spontaneous? Was it very planned?
I honestly, like, that day I wasn't planning on telling them. I was like, I'll tell them sometime, but I just wasn't planning on it. And we were all hanging out together, like a bunch of people. And I just had this feeling, like this prompting that I should tell Kenzie and Travis. I don't know why, but it was super strong. And so I leaned over to Kenzie and I was like, Kenzie, like, I need to tell you guys something. And she was like, what? Like, and she seemed like super worried. But I was like, no, it's not anything bad. I just need you guys to know something. And
it's not anything bad. That's true.
Yeah. So I pulled them aside away from the group because I don't remember. I think everyone was just like leaving for the night or something. And so I pulled them aside and told them that I was bi. And like they both just were so good about it and just told me that how much they loved me and that they would always be supportive of me and would always be there. And so I needed to hear that. I feel like that's something gay people need to hear. As simple as that sounds, like it's so crucial for gay people to hear.
Just say that again. What's the very best thing someone can say to you when you come out to them?
Just say that you don't view them differently, that you'll always love them and be supportive of them. And that sounds like so simple, like I said, but it's so important for us to hear. Like, because we just don't know how people are going to react. Like, it is the scariest thing in the world to come out to somebody. Because you just don't know, like, what your relationship is going to be like with them afterwards. Like, it could completely change. So
Kenzie and Travis, tell us, you're with somebody you've known for 10 years, a close friend. Kenzie, tell us first, and Travis next, just what your thoughts were as Colin came out.
Yeah, it was, I could tell when he looked at me and said, I needed to tell you something. I could tell it was something serious. And I was nervous. Like he was saying, I was worried because it was so, I could just see his mood shift. I could tell it was something that had been weighing on him. And I just remember walking out and having him say that I'm bi. It was such I got emotional when he was talking about it because it was such a tender moment that I felt like I've known him for 10 years, but I felt like I knew him, you know, and the true Colin, somebody that I've been close to for my whole life, basically. And I could just see that this was him. And it was a really special moment for me because I felt so privileged to have that knowledge and just being able to see kind of what he had been dealing with the last little bit. And it was a really, I feel like, great moment for us three as friends. It was, I look back at it and it was just one of my favorite moments just because I felt like it brought us closer, you know, and there was so much love in that conversation. And I think it was a really great moment because I felt like I saw the true Colin. I saw him for who he was, and not that I didn't love him any less before, but I just had this outpouring of love for him at that moment. And so,
it's really cool.
Yeah, it was great. But
and just background for our listeners, all four of us are active members of the church. We're all committed to the church and its teachings, and Colin we offered a prayer before we started. Colin offered wonderful prayer and felt the Spirit here. And we hope as you're listening to this podcast that you'll feel the Spirit and that you'll have ideas that come into your mind on how to best support people in this space, or if you're in this space, best how to navigate your road. But let's go to Travis. Travis, tell us your thoughts as somebody you've known for a decade. A fellow bro comes out his body.
Yeah, I was shocked, honestly. Like, a lot of people have asked, did you know? Like, had you thought Colin might be gay before? And I hadn't at all. Like, it just came as a big shock to me.
I like that because there is sort of this stereotype that, you know, people say, well, I've always known.
Right.
But I like that. That's very helpful for our listeners.
Yeah, and so
and
it
you
was
know this guy for 10 years.
Right.
right. I felt like I knew everything about Colin, but didn't ever think that. I don't know. I never just had thought that. That wasn't something that I and this is kind of gets to how I felt about the whole thing was. I had a prompting as he was telling me, or a feeling that he's still Colin, and it's not like I liked Colin and was best friends with Colin because he was straight. That wasn't part of my view of Colin. It was like, oh, he's my straight friend. It was like, he's Colin. It didn't matter who he was attracted to, what kind of sexual orientation he clung to. He was Colin. And so that was something that was a really spiritual experience to me almost as he came out to us, was that he's Colin. Like, you're still Colin. I still love the heck out of you. Like it didn't change anything. And it was like Kenzie said, exciting to know what he's been dealing with, and so that we could try to help him and be there for him through a difficult time. And so, yeah, it was surprising though. I remember being like, oh wow. And then you start thinking back, like, did I miss it? Like, what, like I've known Colin so well, and then I couldn't think of any time that it was like apparent, and
I definitely tried to hide it.
Right. And you did a good job on me, right? And so, but that just kind of led to me realizing that it didn't matter, it didn't change anything about him to me.
I love that, Travis.
It was a good experience. It was really something that brought us all together, I think.
Is it harder to come out to men or women, Colin, or does it make a difference?
For me, it's harder to come out to men, for sure.
And share why for our listeners.
I don't know. And this is so stereotypical, but I just feel like this is how it is. I feel like coming out as gay, like, men tend to view that as such like a feminine thing. And I don't know why, but I think it's just a stereotype about gay people. And so it's hard for me to come out to guys. So like my dad, for example, is kind of embarrassed of it, that I'm gay. And the reason for that is because I think he views it as like a feminine thing. Like, he never wanted to have a gay son, and that's hard for him. And like, I understand that it's a different generation. It's harder. But to girls, like, if I come out to a girl, like, it's just easier. I don't know why, but it is.
And is it more healing to have a guy respond appropriately or a girl to respond appropriately, or is it about the same?
It's about the same, I would say.
And talk about how Travis responded, just your take on how he responded and your feelings as he said what he said to you.
I just remember that night, like, as soon as I said it, I like looked over at both of their faces, and Travis just had a smile on his face. And that was so good for me. Like, my best friend is like happy for me, and like something that was so like scary for me to say, like, it just meant the world to me. And so I just remember that specifically. I was just happy that he was like reacting well to it. So
for a lot of the guys that I talk to, or the women that are lesbian or gay, it's sometimes their same gender that's the most healing, when that gender doesn't pull away from them.
Right.
And so, and I'm also pretty tenderhearted because I don't know if I could have done what you did at your age, Travis.
I don't know if I could have done it a couple of years ago. I think
I just was in a different space.
Yeah.
And I withdrew from the guys in high school that I thought were gay or were gay, and I thought that's what I was supposed to do. And I get really tenderhearted when I hear the way you two responded and how much progress we've made in our society, that, your friend comes out to you and you handle it like that.
I attribute a lot of it to it's actually a really
tell us a little
cool
bit about your journey.
Yeah, I was born and raised in the church, and grew up in California actually until I was about 12, and I have memories of the whole Prop 8 stuff. And in my mind, to be a good member of the church, I needed to be anti-gay marriage, and that kind of promoted, I don't know if homophobia is the word, but just kind of like zero empathy, right? And uncomfortable about gays. And that's kind of how I was all for most of my life. And I mean, the reason why we're sitting here is because I came across your Twitter timeline a few years back. I don't even remember how. And I remember being just impressed upon that I don't need to be anti-gay people to be a good member of the church. Like, these aren't mutually exclusive things. And I think that this was a huge, I don't attribute how I reacted to Colin coming out to me, because I feel like if it was up to me, I would have handled it poorly. But I think Heavenly Father led me to these things that prepared me to handle it the way I did. Because, like I said, if he had come out to me, honestly, a year prior, I probably wouldn't have handled it well. I probably would have, even like in high school, you know, I mean, I think I look back on some of the things I'm sure I made insensitive jokes around you all growing up, and it makes me sad, but.
Well, I didn't care because I was in denial back then.
Right.
So I was like going along with it the whole time.
But yeah, and so I really feel like I was blessed to that a lot of things happened in my life that led me to be ready for Colin to come out to me. And one of them is Kenzie here. She's always been I remember having conversations with Kenzie early in our marriage. We've dated a long time.
Talk about this subject, dating?
Yeah, I feel like, I don't know if dating, I think, I remember specifically, like, early in our marriage, we kind of had a conversation. I think it was after the LDS Church had made announcements about adoption with, I think it was, I don't know what it was. Yeah, but we kind of had a conversation, and it was hard because I felt like we had differing opinions. And it was hard for me to look at this person that I love so much and hear these words come out of his mouth because I feel like I've always been very open and very welcoming. I don't even know. It's never fazed me as much, but Travis, I think, and it's been wonderful for me to kind of see the evolution of him, and I think Heavenly Father has had such a hand in that. But yeah, I feel like we had discussions about gay marriage, or, you know, and
I like to playfully argue different political points or things like that. And
play
so
devil's advocate.
I like to play devil's advocate a lot, but yeah. And so I remember, just having a little conversation about me. I think it was probably like anti-gay marriage or something like that. And Kenzie's always just been very, very empathetic and accepting towards everybody and anybody, and I love that about her, and I think that was another thing that really helped me come to understand the empathy that we need to have.
Like I said, I feel like I've watched this, him kind of grow, and it's just been wonderful. I don't feel like I did anything. I don't feel like anybody did anything specific. I feel like it's really been his personal just journey of realizing, and then Heavenly Father obviously helped with that. But I think that it was definitely in preparation for the conversation that we had with Colin that night. I think that it was on purpose. I think it happened for a reason.
It's a beautiful story for our listeners, and I think it gives everybody hope. We used to in high school talk about what a real man is, Travis.
Yeah,
Colin.
right.
I'm having high school reflection, and a real man wouldn't do what you did with Colin. And the older I get, I think a real man does what you did with Colin.
Right.
And Colin, you are a real man. And
That's good to hear.
And the Christ-like attributes and the kindness and empathy may be harder attributes to develop in men, but they are part of being a real man.
I agree.
And being a real partner, and being a real father, and being a Christ-like disciple. And so I salute you and Kenzie, and that's one of the reasons I wanted to have you on the podcast, because I think it's helpful for other people to hear how to navigate this road, and that actually, this is the right way to model this and sort of prepare, because I've never had anybody come out to me first. And most people that I meet with are kind of message me, and I kind of know where they are. But I've never been in the situation you two have been in, where actually someone has come out to me, and that I've known for a long time, and have had to respond to that. And I think it's helpful for our listeners to know how you responded and how that was helpful for Colin. Colin, do you have thoughts coming back to you just on the topic at hand?
I mean, one thing that I did want to go back to was like me coming out initially as bi to people.
Yeah, talk about that and then coming out.
Yeah.
Okay.
I know that there are a lot of gays or gay people in the church that come out as bi initially to people. And I think it's just to like try and like soften the blow, I guess, to people. And they are like, okay, then there's hope. They're attracted to girls too. And so I think that's why a lot of people did that. That's why I did that. But I think looking back on that, I kind of regret it. And I wish I would have just come out and said, you know, I'm gay.
Why do you regret it?
Because I don't think it's something that I should be, like I've said, I don't think I should be ashamed of it. And it's just who I am. I'm gay. And
Did you know you were gay when you came out as bi?
I knew that, yeah. And like I said, I did it so just in case that they reacted poorly, you know, and maybe it like, I think in my mind, coming out as bi would be like, for them at least, like, okay, like he's attracted to girls, but then like along the, like down the road, they'd be more accepting of it, like more accepting of gay people as well. And like, by that time I could say, you know, like I'm gay, I'm not bi. I mean, for me, I have a very slight attraction to girls. I would say for me, it's like 90-10.
Okay.
So 90 for guys, 10 for girls. Which obviously, like, it's overwhelmingly for guys. And so I consider myself gay and not bi because for me, bi is 50-50. Like, you could go either way.
And do you know bi people? And is that real for some people?
It is real. I know it's real, but I don't know anyone personally. I mean, I have met bi people, but I don't have anyone close to me that's bi. But I do know it's a real thing. And that's why I don't want to try and like downgrade what they go through because I know that bisexuality is a real thing. And I want to be sensitive to that. And that's why I regret coming out as bi because I'm not bi. I'm gay. So anyway.
It's very helpful. I want to go back. Kinsey is a convert to the church.
Yep.
This is just tell us why you joined the church at age 17.
So I grew up in a wonderful household. I am so thankful for my family and my parents. And my mom was baptized as a member of the church, but she since then is inactive. And my dad was raised Catholic. And so kind of my mom's side of the family has LDS ties, you know, my grandma and grandpa are very active LDS, and then my dad's side is not. And so I kind of grew up with a little bit of both, you know. I had experience, and obviously I grew up in Kaysville, Utah, so very LDS involved area, you know, and so I had friends that I'd go to church with. I attended seminary. I felt like I knew a lot of the church's teachings. I just didn't want to be baptized just to be baptized because everybody else was doing it. I didn't want to be baptized because my boyfriend at the time was LDS. You know, I wanted it to be for me. And so I was 17 and I'd been seminary president before I was baptized.
You were the only non-member seminary president at a high school in the church history.
Right. And so I felt like I was a member of the church, you know, already, but I hadn't been officially anyway. And because I felt like I felt the Spirit. I had a testimony and it just wasn't official yet. And anyway, I had a meeting with the stake president, and he's an awesome guy, and he just kind of said, you know, at some point you just need to let faith step in. Like, you can't know everything. And so that at that point I'm like, he's right. Like, Heavenly Father and Jesus, they don't expect me to know everything, but you know, they expect me to lean on them and have faith. So I was baptized at 17, and I have the most supportive family, and it's wonderful. And they've always been so supportive of me and my wishes, and that's kind of where we're at.
I think the fact that the way you were raised, where you weren't told you need to do. You need to be baptized. You were able to choose things for yourself. I think really has helped like, I think that's why you grew up super accepting. And I think that's why Colin coming out to you has been such an easy thing, because you were raised with acceptance. You know?
I felt, I mean,
It's interesting.
I remember in elementary school, not Mormon, it was really hard. I would lie to people and tell them they was Mormon, because little kids, they don't know any better, and they're mean,
really
and
honest.
they, and they just say, "Oh, you're not Mormon, you're bad," like I don't know where their thoughts come, but I had experienced that feeling of non-acceptance. I had felt like I was out of it. And so I always made it a goal to never let anybody feel like that, because that's not the Heavenly Father that I know and the gospel that I believe in. The gospel I believe in is acceptance and love for everybody, no matter what. And so I think yeah, Travis is right. It raised, I don't know, it made my testimony where it is today, just because I've drawn on those experiences. So
It's really great. It's wonderful you found your way into our beautiful church, and
Yeah.
we need you. We're glad you're here.
thank
And I
you.
love your life experiences. Sometimes you're right, you connect with people that have a harder road if you've been on a harder road.
Mm-hmm.
So, talk about, I want to go back just to your emotional health before you came out, and then your emotional health as you started to come out, and why it was better. Because some people might say, don't come out to anybody, just never tell this to anybody. We want to kind of keep everything in a nice, tidy box, but why is that really hard emotionally?
I think emotionally, and my mental state before I came out to anybody was awful. I was super depressed, and I think it just is a relief to come out to people, and it's almost therapeutic. And my mental state now is definitely, it is so much better than it was a year ago. I'm in a better place for sure.
And I can attest to that. I feel like anybody that's
Right.
close to Colin can see that. I just see a difference in
Were
him.
you seeing signs of Colin's emotional health not being where it normally is before he
Absolutely.
came out?
Yeah,
Definitely.
I
You
think.
both saw that.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, I think it was very apparent. We had lots of conversations about it.
I remember
think-
hanging out with Colin, and then after we would leave with a big group of people, we'd be like, man, Colin felt just sad.
Off,
He felt
sad.
sad tonight.
Mhm.
He just felt just not himself. He just felt, and I think that was just it weighing on him coming out to us, because it was probably hard for you to hang out with us, people that are so close to you, and not have them know you
Right.
that way.
And I think another thing that made me super down was my closest friends all getting married and having relationships, and seeing the relationships that they had and wanting that, but knowing that I couldn't have that same intimacy, that same kind of relationship with a girl. And that's what was weighing so heavily on my mind, was why can't I have that? Why is that why is it such a bad thing for two guys to have that same kind of intimacy, the same kind of relationship? Why is that such a bad thing? And in my mind, it even now, it's not a bad thing. And that, I think the way I view it now is so different than I viewed it 2 years ago. I still viewed homosexuality as a bad thing, and that being gay was a sin to me a couple years ago. And so that's why I was in denial of it. So yeah, I'm in a much better place right now with my mental state, I would say.
That's good. Tell us about your feelings about our church.
I have a testimony of the church, and I always will. I know the gospel is true. I have a hard time hearing about the proclamation a lot, especially at conference. This past conference was hard for me, and I think it was hard for me. I wasn't even thinking of myself. I was thinking more of other people in the church, other LGBT members. I mean, there's hundreds of thousands of us out there, and we're all listening, trying to cling on to some type of, we're longing for acceptance from the church. And so when we hear talks from Elder Oaks, for example, about the proclamation, and have it being stated so bluntly to us, it's hard for us to hear. And I think members of the church just need to be more sympathetic. Sorry, I'm being like super honest here, but
okay.
I feel like members of the church do need to be more sympathetic towards us and how we feel about all of that, because we can't identify with the proclamation. We just can't. It doesn't seem like there's a place for us.
Is it
in
the
plan of
type of
salvation.
thing where you believe in the proclamation, you understand it, but it just doesn't, there's not an explanation of where you fit in, and or an empathy for those that don't fit the proclamation family? So let's talk about your road and how you stay in. Or is it a fundamental disbelief with the proclamation of the family?
I have a hard time understanding it, and that's because of who I am and like what I've seen and heard from other LGBT members of the church. We can't identify with it, and it's hard for us to accept it because we aren't included in it. And that is hard for us. And it's hard to stay active as a gay member because of that. We go to church every week. We see all these families that seem happy. And I'm sure they are happy in the gospel. But it's hard for us, and it's hard for us to stay active. And like, we want to be faithful members. Like, we want to follow Jesus Christ. Because we all have testimonies. We all have felt the Spirit, and we can't deny that. But at the same time, like, it's hard for us to sit there and listen to talks about the family, like how marriage is supposed to be between a man and a woman, how gender is eternal, all that kind of stuff. All these like core doctrinal principles, and we understand that. We just want more sympathy, is all.
Well, and thanks for being so honest. And this is a podcast where we honor everybody how they individually feel. And if I were your singles ward bishop and it was just the two of us, I would validate everything you've just said to me as the right to feel that way.
Right.
And I think that we need to do that. So if and just honor that and not sort of say, well, you shouldn't feel that way, or gosh, you need to sort of do these three things differently to not feel that way.
Right.
I think you have a right to feel how you feel, and I sure honor that.
Yeah.
And I would probably say thanks for being so open with me, and I'd probably encourage you to keep being open with me. And just, you've got to tell me how you feel. What are things that are helpful as you open up about a topic like that active LDS people can say to you that are sort of in this space where they want to be supportive of our leaders, but they also want to honor how you feel? Any suggestions on what active LDS people can do when you open up? And maybe we'll ask Travis and Kenzie also to share some thoughts.
I think a good response, I've talked to a few people about this, and a good response that I've heard is like, we don't know exactly like what God has in store for LGBT people. Like, we just don't have the answers for that yet. And I think like a few people have said, like, for example, with Elder Oaks, they were just like, he could have stated it in a different way. He could have, explained, obviously, because we know the principles, we know the doctrine, like, we know that that's not going to change. But at the same time, we just want to hear the words that we have a place in God's plan, and that we are accepted and can be loved as well. And I think, I don't know where I was going with this.
You're doing good. Just what we can say to sort of help you.
I think for me, at least, just saying, like, we don't have all the answers. Like, I wish that there was, like, something I could say or give you an answer, but we just don't have all the answers yet, and God will give us the answers. We just need to be faithful and understand that, like, we all are fallible. No one's perfect. We're just all doing our best, especially even like church leaders. We put them on such a pedestal, I think, and everything they say to us is like, we do believe that everything they say to us is doctrine, but at the same time, there's a lot of stuff that they say. Like, I know back in the day, the church leaders even said that at the pulpit that being gay, even if you weren't acting on it, was a sin.
Right.
Obviously, we don't believe that anymore.
Right.
So, we can view it that way and be like, okay, they don't understand everything yet. They're fallible just like we are. And that's helpful for me, at least. And obviously, like, I do support them. but I feel like I'm allowed to question some
I
stuff
like
that they
that.
say.
Yeah.
So
Travis, Kinsey, any thoughts on how you navigate this space, wanting to validate and honor how Dallin feels, but also want to sort of support our church and our leaders? Colin, I called you Dallin. Sorry, Colin.
Colin.
I think it's scientifically proven that being gay is a thing. Like it's not a state of mind, a phase. Like it is. Like there are people that are born gay.
I agree.
And so I think something that I don't know. I'm not gay, so I can't speak for members of the LGBTQ community. But I feel like if us as members could identify that if people are gay, there are people that are gay out there, then we don't have the answer for them in the church yet. I don't know, and maybe I don't know. I don't know what the answer is.
I think that's
have
okay
to know.
to say. I love that answer. I don't know, and I don't have to know.
Right. And but I think, like, to talk to Colin, I think it's important to say there obviously is, like, just empathize with them and say we don't know where you fit. I think for the longest time I grew up thinking, no, it's a phase. It's a trial. It's something they need to work through, and then you can fit into the mold, you know. But I think it's important to realize that it isn't that. It's the way they are. It's the way they were born and the way God created them. And right now, if they, there are different ways to conform to the church, whether it be remaining celibate or having a mixed orientation marriage. That doesn't work for everybody. And I think we need to just realize that this is something that is so hard for people, because Colin here wants to be an active member of the church, but he may down the road want to pursue someone that makes him as happy as Kenzie makes me. And to tell him that he can't do that is just, it's really hard for me, because it's an amazing experience being able to share your life with someone like that. And I think it's just really important that the members of the church just view it in that light, look at the marriages that they do have, and try to think of how hard it would be to tell their son, their best friend, someone they love, you can't have that. And I think that would help people kind of empathize and realize that this is hard, and we don't have the answers, but I pray that we get them, I don't know.
Yeah.
Thank you, Travis.
I just have been thinking, so we teach primary, and I just keep thinking of the simple primary lessons that we teach our kids every week about loving everyone, and that you're a child of God and accepting people. And that is what I feel like we need more of. I think that that's such a core part of this gospel, is loving one another and accepting people. And that's what drew me to this church, because I think that there is a core foundation in that. And I hope that, obviously there's people out there that are so loving and accepting. I mean, that's why we're sitting in this room all together. I want to promote more of that. I think that it's just so important to look at somebody and say, maybe I don't agree with one aspect of whatever, but I support you and I love you. And I just think that no matter what choices somebody makes, we can love and support them. And I think, it's okay to acknowledge, I don't have all the answers. I don't know. I don't know. And it makes me sad that I don't know. But I hope that people realize that and Colin realizes that there's people that love him and support him. And anyway, I feel like I rambled, but
No, that's great, Kinsey. And I love I love what you're teaching in your primary class. That is the doctrine of Christ.
Right.
You're not teaching stuff that's sort of second-class doctrine. It is our doctrine. Talk about your future, Colin. You've got a few roads. We've kind of talked about you could be celibate your life. You could find your way into a mixed orientation marriage with that 10%, I guess, you talked about. Right. Or you could find a same-sex partner and be in a same-sex marriage.
Right.
Do you try to figure out what that road is going to be for you now? Do you try to just put that something across later? Or talk to our listeners of how you're processing that.
It's very conflicting. I obviously, like you just talked about, the 3 paths I could choose. For me, I have a ton of respect for those that choose to be celibate and remain in the church. I feel like that would be very, very difficult. So I have a ton of respect for gay and lesbian people that decide to do that. But that, for me, I don't feel like that would work. I feel like for me that would make me very sad and lonely. It would be a lonely life for me. So I think I've considered that before, but I just don't think that'll work. So basically for me, there's 2 options: me marrying a girl and staying active in the church, or me choosing to be with a guy. And I think I'll figure that out down the road. I'm going to be 100% honest. I do want to see what it's like to like be in a relationship with a guy and see how that works for me, like if I feel happier. But at the same time, I believe in the gospel and I believe in the church and I have a testimony, and that would be hard to deny as well for me. So it feels like I lose something either way. But as I've like prayed about it and like studied about it, I don't feel like if I did choose to be in a relationship with a guy and marry a guy down the road, I don't feel like that and being in the church, or at least like going to church, have to be 2 separate things. Like I don't feel like they have to be mutually exclusive. If I did choose to marry a guy, I would still want my kids to know like gospel principles. I would still like go to church and want them to understand the plan of salvation as well, even though I don't completely understand it yet, you know. I still want them to grow up with what I had. And so, I mean, for me, it's never going to be like I'm not going to be a part of the church. I will always have a testimony. But I'm still trying to decide. And I feel like as members of the church, if anyone ever comes out to them, I feel like it's super important and crucial for them to be supportive of whatever they decide to do. If they want to be celibate, be supportive of that. See how they can help them out with that. If they want to choose to marry a girl or guy, whatever, and stay in the church, be supportive of that and recognize that that's hard for them, that they're sacrificing a huge part of them to stay a faithful member of the church. Or if they choose to leave the church and marry a guy if you're gay, or a girl if you're lesbian, like, and be supportive of that and understand that it's hard for them to leave the church. It's hard for them to sacrifice that part of them too. So for LGBT members, it's just you're losing something when you choose one of those paths, and it's hard. It's hard to ask someone to sacrifice that, any of that stuff. So, I mean, for me, I'm still trying to figure it out. And while I'm at BYU, I can't really obviously with my standing and everything, I can't really pursue like a relationship with the guy, obviously. And so, still trying to figure it out. We'll see what happens. I'm hopeful that God will lead me and the Spirit will lead me to what I'm supposed to do.
So on behalf of all of our listeners, thanks just being honest with what your future holds. I think it's helpful for everybody to hear what another person's hopes are. And I think sometimes, so I put on my singles ward bishop hat as I hear you speak, or my father if you were my son, and I think my responses would be, I want to continue to hear all of your hopes. I want, even if those hopes are different than mine or outside of the doctrine of the church that I believe in, and invite everybody to stay. I think there's something about hearing someone's hopes, and I'd probably want to say, Colin, continue to tell me what you're feeling. Mm-hmm. I want to be safe for you. If I met with YSAs at times that as they kind of walked out of the doctrine of our church, I said, well, you can't fully participate in Mormonism.
Right.
We both kind of knew that. Mm-hmm. But I said, I'll walk with you. I'll walk with you on any road you want to walk on. I will be your friend. I'll be your bishop. My love for you and my desire to be in your life. Now, if you join ISIS and want to bomb me, I kind of joke about that in my presentations sometimes, that's different.
Right.
But you're not joining ISIS, and you're just figuring out the best way you want to live your life. And I'd probably mourn a little bit if you left, and
Mm-hmm.
worry probably maybe about your eternal salvation, but I'd probably just leave that to God,
Mm-hmm.
and probably just not try to see you as someone that's in or out. I would just see you as my fellow brother making the best decisions you can in your life. And I do believe in personal revelation. I think I would probably invite you to continue to stay close with God.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe God loves you and will continue to help you and walk with you on what any path you choose.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how, if you were my son or in my ward, but I'd want to hear what your core hopes are. I think for parents of LGBTQ kids, it's scary to hear their hopes, because their
Right.
hopes may be outside of what our hopes are or the doctrine of our church. But I think then it creates safety that they will continue to talk to you, and if and that they will continue to open up to you about how they feel, and create a better foundation for communication going forward. So thanks for sharing your hopes, and just support you as you're trying to figure out your way in life.
Well, thank you.
Any thoughts just when you hear the difficult road that Colin faces that you two don't face? How do you navigate that?
I mean, it makes me sad. It makes me sad because not for whatever path he chooses. It makes me sad that it's gonna be hard. Like he
He's
was
gonna have to
talking
give
about
up something.
Yeah, that there's sacrifices, and looking at my best friend Colin, knowing that he's gonna have to make that decision where I haven't had to make that decision in my life. I can't feel those same feelings, but I know that it's hard, and it makes me sad, but it also, I feel blessed that I have somebody in my life like Colin that can, that exhibits such strength and just exhibits, just an awesome person, and that I have this and Travis and I were talking about that when we have kids, I'm so glad that my kids will have somebody like Colin in their lives to look up to, because he's an awesome guy, and I just want the best for him. Whatever.
What a compliment, Colin. What a
It's true.
compliment.
I just so I feel like a mixture of just sadness, because I don't, obviously you don't want anybody close to you to have hard things, but at the same time I know that he's strong and that he's going to overcome it, and I feel happy that he has people in his life like Travis and I we have lots of great friends that are surrounding Colin, and I think that it makes me happy that there is a community around him rallying him. So
It's great, Kenzie.
Yeah.
Travis, thoughts as you hear Colin's road?
Yeah, similar to Kenzie, I feel sad for Colin that it like I said, that he has to give up something, right? Of all those, and all three of those roads, something. It's not like the road that me and Kenzie took. There, there's gonna be hard decisions to be made. My one thought is I have hope that whatever you do choose, that people will be accepting of it. Mm-hmm. Right. I think I have hope that if you choose to stay in the church in a mixed orientation marriage, but are still out, that's something that I had never experienced growing up in Utah, or seen. And I hope that people will be accepting of it. I hope that if you choose to leave the church and pursue a relationship, a same-sex relationship, that people will be accepting of that, and that that you have people behind you that love you and do support you, and if there are people that don't, that you need to do what's best for you, and that right. You feel confident to do that. And I just hope that any LGBTQ person out there that faces a similar decision as Colin, that they know that there are people out there, and that there are people that are striving to help to make that tough decision easier, and to make whatever road they choose easier, because it's hard. I can't even imagine. I feel just so heartbroken for him, because it's not easy.
And I think just like listening and learning from people, I think that Travis and I have learned so much in these last few months, like not even just about Colin, but just about faith and about LGBTQ. Like I feel like just listening and being open and just really learning and letting them navigate it. I can't tell anybody how to feel or how to live their life, but I can support them and love them and listen to what they may need from me. I think that that's just a huge thing because everybody's going to go through it differently, you know, and just being able to support them and loving them.
Great comments, Kenzie and Travis. How do these comments feel to you, Colin?
No, it's great to have that kind of support, and I'm eternally grateful, honestly, to have that kind of support from these two. And I do recognize that it is going to be hard no matter what I decide to do. And I've come to accept that. Before I wasn't sure what I was going to, I'm still not sure what I'm going to decide to do, but I recognize that it's going to be hard, but I embrace it. I think that it'll make me stronger, and God knows that I can handle it, or he wouldn't have given this to me, you know? And I feel like that's a perspective that, at least for me, I feel like it's a perspective that gay members should have, that they just need to recognize that it's going to be hard, and no matter what they decide to do, it's going to be hard. But just embrace it and just learn from it. And in the end, God's going to bless you. So,
are there things in your patriarchal blessing that are helpful for you as you navigate this road?
Oh, that there's things in my patriarchal blessing that mention me getting married, and it does specifically say that it's going to be a woman. And that part of it I don't understand, and it's hard for me to read it. Honestly,
it's honest.
Even when I first heard it, I was like, I don't know if that's possible. But I mean, obviously, like, patriarch wouldn't have been inspired if it wasn't possible, you know? And so, I mean, I actually do, like, think about that quite a bit. I pray about it, and I still don't understand it. I haven't received any answers from it, but I'm hopeful, and we'll see what happens.
Sometimes I ask this question, if there was a button in front of you, I call it the big red button that you could push and be straight. Would you push it?
No, I would not.
I assume you would in the 8th grade, in the 9th grade,
Oh,
in
yeah.
the 10th grade, in the 11th grade.
Yeah, even as I was coming out, I was still, like, wishing that I was straight.
Why wouldn't you push it? Your life would be so much easier.
I mean, you can view it that way, but I don't feel like there's any reason to be ashamed of it.
That's cool.
It's part of you.
It's part of me, yeah.
Who you
It's
are.
you.
Yeah. And it's just psychologically damaging to think of it as something that is bad.
Right.
And so I've only recently come to, like, terms with it, like, you know, I'm gay, and that's totally fine with me.
That's the feeling that I have, is that, you know, there's no reason to push a button because
Right.
there's nothing here that needs to be fixed.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
I sense that from Travis and Kinsey, as you were saying that, is that's their feeling too, is that
Mhm.
God's created you the way he wanted you to be. And
Mm-hmm.
a lot of my gay friends get to the point where they realize their essence is more than just their sexual orientation, but all
Right.
these gifts and attributes and
Mm-hmm.
contributions to society. And you could be a clinical, you know, whatever your
Mhm.
work you go into.
Yeah.
It's all this beautiful person that you are, and all these Christ-like attributes. A lot of people get to the point where they don't want to change that
Yeah.
because it changes who they are.
Mm-hmm. No, and I wouldn't change who I am. And it's something that I've been stressing about for so long. It's kind of hindered me in other areas of my life, like with school, with work, and just like with my relationships with other people. It had been like weighing so heavily on my mind that I just kind of brush everything off to the side. I don't feel like that's necessary. Like, it's just it's a part of who I am. Like, they're straight and they don't have to, like, worry about that. Like, why should I have to worry about the fact that I'm gay, you know? And so I've come to a point where I'm, like, just focusing. I mean, obviously, like, it's still a part of my life because I'm still not, like, completely out to everybody. But it's just helped me focus more on other areas of my life. And I feel like I'm improving in everything, basically. I don't know.
That's great. Thoughts on this? Any other thoughts come to your mind?
I mean, as Colin's talking, I'm thinking, we talked a lot about how it's a hard road, and I think I don't want that to deter people from going down the road, though.
Yeah.
Right? I
Or
think,
coming out.
yeah, but by that I mean coming out.
Yeah.
I think Colin has, and we've talked about this, the change we've seen in Colin in the last 6 months is just unreal. Like, it's just, and now that we know, it's like we know Colin for who he is, and we know all of Colin, and he knows that, and he's able to be himself, and it's been just a night and day difference with him. And so while the road is hard, it's doable. There's hope there. You can find happiness down any three of those roads, or road D, whatever, any road that you take, happiness can lie there. And I think, I just think it's important to know that coming out doesn't necessarily, like, it isn't just going to be all awful. Like, we've seen a huge change in Colin, and it's been really, really
That's
awesome
cool.
to see.
It's very helpful.
And so,
Yeah, I agree. I just think that knowing that you are who you are, and accepting that, and kind of how you talked about, like, coming out to yourself, I think that that's just very impressive. And I've talked about strength, but I think that it just exhibits bravery and being strong and being confident in who you are. I mean, everybody probably struggles with figuring out where they belong and who they are. And I think that being confident in yourself and knowing that God loves you, and I mean, if you can do that, that's great, right? If you know that God loves you and you love yourself, I think that that's really a huge thing. And so I hope that people can find that same happiness and that same ability to be okay with that as Colin has. So,
Colin, we're kind of coming to the end. Any final things you'd like to share with our listeners, or with Travis or Kinsey or anybody?
I mean, just to kind of talk about all the other LGBT members of the church. I feel like, and like, everyone should come out at their own pace and like who they want to come out to. But I feel like that is something that helped me more than anything. And I just hope that, I hope and pray that as other LGBT members come out, that people will be supportive and accepting and have good reactions to it, because it's so crucial. And it's so important for us to hear that someone is supportive of it and that they love us still. So my advice is just to be true to yourself, just accept it, and know that it'll be hard, but I mean, God loves you, and he's always going to help you in everything you do, and just recognize that and come out to people as you can, like at your own pace.
Thank you, Colin. That's great. Any final comments, Travis, Kinsey?
just to harbor that environment that Colin is saying is out there. I mean, there are people that will handle it well, and I think people, I don't know, we assume the worst in people sometimes, but I think in actuality people are better than we can assume. And so, I don't know, I think I am hopeful and wishful for a culture in the church that is, I think we can do better. And I think that's kind of my final thoughts. I can't speak to the LGBTQ experience, but as a straight member of the church, I think we can do better. And I just hope and pray that we can do better and we can change. And
I think that we are doing better.
Right,
I think
right.
that I think there's been improvement from probably when you grew up to right now. Is probably a lot different,
It's a lot different.
And I'm grateful that we can have conversations like this, and that there's leaders like you and examples like you that our youth can look up to. And I'm hopeful, and I'm thankful that there are people out there that exhibit these Christ-like attributes. But I think, as Travis is saying, I think we can just continue it and improve it and have conversations, have hard conversations. I think it's okay. I think when Colin told us, I think it was a wonderful experience, but I think it took, I mean, Travis and I kind of went home and we're like, oh, okay, like it took a minute, but it wasn't a bad minute. It was like, how awesome is this that we have this great friend and he feels like he can be open with us. And
That's
so
cool.
I think just taking the time and just being, realizing that they are who they are. And
We talk about, I grew up in the church, and it's always like, make the decision before the situation comes up. Like, decide you're not going to do drugs before someone offers you drugs in the school bathroom or whatever, right?
Yeah.
I think we can do the same with LGBTQ. I think there's a lot of people. I grew up in Utah and didn't really have a close experience with anybody that was LGBTQ, but I think we can apply that same principle to that situation. Like, be prepared to handle it well, to be accepting, to be loving when someone does come out to you, or even just you interact with an LGBTQ person, right? Like, I think that's something that we could do a better job at teaching. It just, like, be ready to, it's going to happen at some point in your life. Honestly, in this day and age, like, you're going to have
some
interactions
interaction.
with gay people. And
just teaching your kids, like I
Right.
know in our family, like when we have kids someday, I know that the conversation that we'll be able to facilitate with them will be awesome, and it will be full of love and acceptance, and I hope that it's just, there's more of that. So
Thank you. There's so many good thoughts here. Colin, thanks for coming on.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
I think you're the hero here for the life you're
Definitely.
living. We all feel that way about you, including our listeners. You are a great man, and you have a great life ahead of you. And as you prayed before this podcast, I just felt your spirit. We all did.
Well, thank you. I appreciate
And
that.
so you have got a great life ahead of you. You're a great man.
Mhm.
And I just look forward to seeing all the good things that you do. I liked some of these concluding thoughts too. I liked the idea you used the word culture, Travis. I think, I'm trying to say that we can do better within our current doctrine. Some people
Right.
feel our doctrine needs to change, and it could change someday. But
Yeah.
I'm of the opinion we can do better within our current culture
right.
to create a much more loving and accepting space. And I think you articulate that well. And I think of, what your generation's doing better. So one of the things that I like about the story is you never picked up that Colin was gay.
Right.
You've known this guy for 10 years.
Yeah.
And I like that part of the story because it changes the stereotype that sometimes we create in the culture. But part of creating a good culture is saying kind things about LGBTQ people because
Right.
you never know who is LGBT.
absolutely.
And it sounds like they didn't say a lot of mean things, so you probably wouldn't have come out to them.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know.
There were
And I would go
definitely-
along with it, obviously, because I was
Yeah.
trying to deny it, and I didn't want them
Maybe
to
there
think
was
that I
some
was.
just normal stuff that happened.
jokes, right?
Yeah,
Right,
just
just
joking, but
Insensitivity
yeah.
more
But-
than anything.
If we can even learn to say kind things.
Right.
Mhm.
Exactly.
As part of the conversation, just not every conversation we have to say something nice, and if we're saying nice to othered people.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I kind of joke about ISIS. I'm not suggesting we start putting our arms around ISIS because that's a whole different story, but just othered groups of people that sometimes we feel good when we marginalize other people. It sort of lifts us up, but I think we can just stand for our own selves. And I love, in conclusion, what you two are teaching in your primary class. You are teaching the doctrine of Christ. You're not just teaching like second-class doctrine or a soft doctrine. Christ's whole ministry was focused on what you're teaching in your primary class.
Right.
And so I have great hope in the future of our church and our society when I see your generation having a level of maturity and understanding that we didn't have. So I have great hope when I visit the three of you. And it was an honor to meet you at one of my events. And I just like that the three of you were together to support, all three of you on this road. And that's where this podcast idea really came from, when I saw you, the three of you together at that Orem event. And I thought, how cool is it? You're all just here together, willing to learn. You should have been up there speaking. I always think it's better when LGBTQ people speak, and that's what I'm trying to do in this podcast, is mostly have people hear people like you. But I think it's also helpful for you to talk about allies that are helpful and what they can do and are doing to help you. So thank you all for joining us on another episode of Listen, Learn, and Love.
Thank you.
Thank you.